Welcome back, grappling fans. Is another episode of the Grappling Bulletin podcast. You got myself, Howell Teague. Joining me, as always, Chase Smith. And at the back, we got Corey Stockton on the mic there, the stats guy, ready to bring up all the information that we need. You ready, Corey?
I'm ready.
All right, good. Go. You ready, Chase?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Big news. Breaking news, in fact. This morning, I wake up and we have a little group chat going on with the grappling crew, right? There's tons of people in this chat. You know, you got all of us and you got Reed and Michael, the whole crew. And yet, some bombshell news was a little dropped into the chat this morning, right?
Yeah, you don't usually get like a 8:45 breaking piece of news. It's usually the night before or much earlier in the day. We're up and about. We're doing our morning routine, getting ready to come to the office, and all of a sudden, a message slides through. Gordon Ryan signed with ONE FC? We're like, wait, what? We just spoke to Gordon yesterday. What's going on?
Hold the phone. Literally, Gordon Ryan has signed an MMA contract with ONE Championship, the Singapore-based Asian MMA promotion. Incredible news. Now, the only problem is the details are so thin on the ground right now. We're really not sure what this deal looks like, what it means, other than the founder of ONE Championship basically went online and sent out a tweet. That was it, just a one-line tweet saying he has signed with ONE Championship for both mixed martial arts and submission grappling.
That's right. If you guys remember, Gary Tonin started his ONE FC career doing, I think, at least one grappling match with Shinya Aoki. Did he have any others, or was that the only one?
I think that was the only one, yeah. But it was a good way of him easing into it, right?
Exactly. Got a feel for what maybe the work environment would be like, the process, as well as, of course, traveling to Singapore or wherever else there.
And building up his name with the local audience.
Exactly. Yeah. Seeing how he would vibe. And that was his start. And Gary, of course, has done quite well since then.
Yeah, he
I think he's 5 or 6-0, maybe even more than that, and possibly taking a title fight soon. So yeah, very exciting news to see Gordon going to MMA. He's been talking about it forever, here and there, like looking at MMA, considering MMA.
It's always been a case of will he, won't he, right? You know, because the MMA thing, I think he first dropped that, I want to say maybe 2 or even 3 years ago. It was definitely after his first ADCC gold medal. I remember him saying that the ultimate plan was to go to MMA, but he said that he had goals first, and that was to win X amount of who knows what, you know. He's pretty much done all of that, right? He's won ADCC, 3 gold medals, you know. He's won double gold at the IBJJF World No-Gi Championships, No-Gi Pans, EPI, you know, you name it, he's pretty much done it now. So it's not surprising that he's looking for new challenges. I think it's just, you know, a little surprising because it came out right now when we're just days away from his match with Wagner Hoche, right?
Yeah, the timing is pretty funny, and it'll be great to have him in town, maybe get a little clarification, whether or not how much of that will be public or not, who knows, but believe me, we'll be telling you guys as soon as we get more information exactly what Gordon will be doing with ONE FC.
And don't forget ONE FC, you know, he's not the first and not the only big name grappler that they have on their roster. Of course, we already mentioned Gary Tonin. Also, one of Gordon's teammates and mentors is Tom DeBlas. Tom DeBlas is also signed with ONE Championship.
And Buchecha.
And
there's
Buchecha, exactly. So, you know, Buchecha, we are still eagerly awaiting his MMA debut, right? Because he's had a couple of fights and they've been cancelled or fallen through for whatever reason. So we know it's coming. It's going to come soon. But the question is, will Buchecha and Gordon ever end up facing off?
That would be something,
in
man.
the ONE Championship cage.
Corey, what do you think about that back there? What do you think about Buchecha and Gordon maybe meeting MMA one day?
I mean, that sounds like something that I think every grappling fan has always wanted to see, right? What Gordon and Buchecha's hands look like, and even if they throw a strike in an MMA match.
Yeah. Can't disagree. I'm excited, man. I don't know what the future holds. I think that this week definitely will help us find some more details out. When we get him here into Austin, we'll definitely be asking him about that and see what's up. But super exciting news for sure.
Absolutely. And of course, we're coming off a pretty big weekend here at Fight to Win. When I say big, I don't just mean the event itself, but the men participating. It was a huge main event. We had Victor Hugo versus Tim Spriggs. And what a show from Victor Hugo that was, Hal.
Yeah, this was a fun one, huh? Of course, it was right here in Austin, Texas once again, so we were all in attendance, Matt's side. And yeah, I mean, Victor Hugo, he had an incredible year last year. You know, 2020 was definitely it's hard to say a breakout year in the traditional sense because, of course, he'd already made his mark in 2019, you know, the year that he actually got promoted to black belt. But 2020 was a phenomenal year for him in that he went 12-1 in various different events, but he only competed in 12 gi matches, one no-gi match. So he had a no-gi match right at the beginning of 2020, a decision win over Nick Rodriguez on Fight to Win. And then he spent the rest of the year focused on the gi. And he won a lot. He won 2 third coast kumites, he won a bunch of super fights. He beat Nicholas Marigali in a super fight. He did a lot. And then coming into 2021, he signaled that he's going to take a little bit of a detour. He's going to go down the no-gi path.
Well, of course, we have ADC on the horizon, right? It's coming 2022, and I think that's on everyone's bucket list, right? Any professional jiu-jitsu athlete, you want to win ADCC. So better get those reps in early, and what a better place than Fight to Win. So I think we have a clip here of Victor taking on Tim Spriggs. This was a great match. Tim looked phenomenal throughout, but Victor is a dangerous human being, Hal.
This was a really smart strategy, actually, because, Victor, he knew that Spriggs had the edge when it came to wrestling. So he was very conservative and he played a very smart bottom game for the majority of the match. And then I noticed, because I was sat, you can see me in the background just there, right? You can see my bald head like gleaming.
Yes.
But I was right next to Victor's corner. And one of his teammates, Felipe Costa, Laranjinha, said 3 minutes. And at that moment, Victor flipped a switch. And he pretty much inverted at that exact moment. 3 minutes in, he got underneath the legs. He locked up this position. And then as he goes belly down here, you can see catches this inside a heel hook and puts a lot of weight. That's 270 pounds going straight down through into Tim Spriggs' knee joint right there.
Yeah, that looked brutal. And I was actually where I was seated on the wrong side of this. I was more looking directly at Tim's face. But Corey, you were in the back there. You shot that clip. And what was your thought process as they were going belly down? Did you think it was going to stay as an ankle lock war, or did you anticipate the heel hook coming on?
I mean, it looked like when he grabbed the heel hook, he was fishing. When he grabbed the ankle lock, he was fishing for a heel hook right away. But as soon as we just saw the clip, but as soon as he grabbed that, it looked significant. And the foot rotated pretty substantially. It looked like it was tight right away. Obviously, from where you guys were sitting, you could see Tim tapping. But on my side, you couldn't really see it. So I thought, man, there's a lot of time left. Is he going to gut this out? But obviously not, and Victor ended up with a W.
Yeah, I couldn't see it either. I could only see Victor going belly down, and then the next thing is Tim's tapping, and I'm like, oh my God, Tim's tapping. What's going on? I could not see what was happening. Couldn't tell if it was a belly down or not. It was only when I asked Victor afterwards, he said, yeah, so I got the heel hook, but Tim was tapping, but on the blind side to the referee. And it wasn't like he was slapping the mat. He was just tapping Victor's foot. And Victor, of course, he didn't want to, rip it on. But at the same time, he's not going to let it go until the referee says stop. And the referee was walking around. And by the time I think he got there and he saw Tim tapping, Victor said that the knee had popped a few times.
Yeah, that's a veteran move, right? In a professional grappling match, you have to get confirmation from somebody that the match is over. If you let go too soon, you never know what's going to happen. Gets a little dicey once in a while. So, Victor was definitely concerned after the match. I went backstage and he was there talking to Tim. Tim said, I talked to him very briefly and he said, oh yeah, it should be fine. But he didn't look thrilled with the state of his knee that night. But of course, Victor, classy guy, wasn't trying to do any damage, but that's sometimes the fight.
That, I believe, is Victor Hugo's first ever submission win by heel hook. How cool is that? At least at black belt. I don't know if there was any competitions he maybe did at brown belt, not on his record. But yeah, at black belt, his first, not his first leg lock, but definitely his first heel hook.
No, of course, got the knee bar, right?
Got the knee bar against Cyborg. Also hit a couple of nasty steamer locks. Tapped out Felipe Andrew with a heel.
I would not want to get steamer locked by Victor Hugo. Oh my God.
No, it's absolutely not. But here's the question: what's next for Victor Hugo?
Well, I mean, the question on this morning's Grappling Bulletin is it too soon for Gordon Ryan? Obviously, we don't know where Gordon's going to be up to after Who's Number One, but that's a very exciting matchup. I would say yes, though.
You would say yes, he's ready?
I would say yes, it's too early.
Oh, yes, it's too early.
Yes.
I would agree with you on that one. So, absolutely. My feeling is that there are a very short list. We've spoken about this before. There's a very short list of people ready, willing, and able to fight Gordon Ryan. Now, I would say that basically Victor Hugo is only willing. He's not ready or able yet to go up against Gordon Ryan. I mean, that's a huge task right there. And you've got to be absolutely on top of your game. And this is Victor's first no-gi match in over a year. So give the guy some time.
Yeah, don't rush it. There's no reason to rush it. He is a legitimate prospect for someone that could very well dethrone Gordon, but not if he goes too soon, right? You need a proper camp, proper preparation.
And he's got opportunity between now and then, whenever that may be, to get ready, because, he's got there's the Third Coast event coming up on April 3rd, 8-man bracket with the likes of Nicky Rod, Mason Fowler, Kynan Duarte and stuff, William Tackett. And then a couple of weeks later, in middle of May, there's No-Gi Pans. And, there are some big names in his division, the ultra heavyweight. You've got Tex Johnson. Of course, Victor has already submitted him in the past. You've got Max Jimenez, who I believe was the champion at the most recent No-Gi Pans in that division. And then there is a name, a big name, Vinny Magalhaes. Now, Vinny, a veteran, an ADCC champion, a professional MMA fighter, a fantastic submission artist. But him and Victor, they never even come close to competing. So, Corey, you were actually there to speak to Victor backstage, and he gave you a little bit of insight. And we've got a clip. Let's play the clip first, and then you can talk about it. Let's hear what Victor has to say.
Yes, man, like Vinny is on my division. We never fought. As I said, I'm pretty new black belt. I have 2 years, and I'm really looking forward to fight new guys I never fought before. And I think this type of fight brings a lot of attention because people don't know what's gonna happen. There's like nobody could like predict what's gonna be against me and team because we never fought. So I think this like first time matches are very exciting. Also, I have Max Jimenez there. I fought him with Gi. He's a No-Gi world champion. I think he's the actual. He was the last champion of my division. He's the current champion, so probably aiming to face him, Vinny. It's gonna be a tough bracket, but I'll be ready for it.
All right, Corey. Any other nuggets that didn't make it on the stream, or what do you make of that?
Yeah, well, I talked to Victor briefly about just kind of, it seems like he's going after ADCC champions, and whether or not that's true specifically that he's hunting ADCC champions, I think that's a great way to set yourself up for a potential match with Gordon Ryan or really any of the other best in the world, right? He's already beaten Tim Spriggs. Vinny is an ADCC champion. Spriggs is a veteran, but not a champion. But Max, I mean, there's a lot of guys that have been to ADCC, and that seems to be a good way to set up any kind of future match against anybody in the top of the list.
Absolutely. You look at the list of names that Victor has beaten in No-Gi competition. And he has significant wins over a number of ADCC veterans and even silver medalists. Because in fact, as you said, he has submitted Tim Spriggs and Tex Johnson, both ADCC trials winners, ADCC veterans. Then he holds a win over Cyborg by submission. Cyborg, of course, an ADCC absolute champion. And he also has wins over Jared Dopp, ADCC silver medalist 2015, Nicky Rod, 2019 ADCC silver medalist, and Vinicius Trator Ferreira, 2019 ADCC silver medalist. So it does kind of feel a little bit like he's picking them off from one by one, right?
Yeah, when you say it like that, Victor's time off from No-Gi may not be as big of a deal as the initial sticker shock when you read that. But I think it's smart all the same for him to get more reps in, get back into the zone. I really like the idea of Vinny. Of course, that could happen. I think as it came up in the interview at Pan No-Gi Championships here in May.
But it might not, because there's no guarantee that Vinny's going to show, unfortunately. An open tournament like this, you never know. Somebody can get hurt, somebody can pull out. He might actually get an MMA fight offer and go do that instead. That's happened in the past. So,
and the bracket, of course.
Yeah, in the bracket. They may not even face off. But it's one of those matches that we would love to see.
Of course, absolutely. I also like the idea of Yuri Samois, maybe one day. But of course, Yuri has a match this weekend at Who's Number One
against Nicky Rod.
So we gotta see what happens there first.
Hell yeah! Well, I like anything, to be honest, but I definitely think that Victor has the ability to face Gordon eventually. But I would definitely like to see him given a little bit of time to prepare for that match, because Victor hasn't competed in some months. He's coming back off injury. He needs to switch his focus to no-gi training if you're going to go up against somebody like Gordon. So give him time, give him ample opportunity to prepare, and it could be a good match. But, it's not the only good match out there. There are many others. The first name is always Gordon, because we're always searching for challengers. But there's, like you said, Nicky Rod's another good name, and I'm sure there are many others out there too.
Absolutely. Of course, Fight to Win 167 had a ton of great matches. Put together a little highlight as well. But let's talk about some of those major results. So we had Gabriel Souza take on Caixinho. Caixinho was a last-minute replacement there for Kennedy Maciel, who unfortunately had to pull out due to injury. But I love the fact that Gabriel Souza was still down just to fight anybody, and had had a great match with Casino. Let's go ahead and run this highlight as we talk through these matches, though, because it was a fun card, Hal.
Was a fun card, yeah. I got to say, this was one of those matches that Gabriel Souza, I was so upset and so disappointed for him in not being able to compete for the title as he's been, working to do. Kennedy, unfortunately, injured. But I was not upset with Queixinho stepping up because I was like, oh, damn, this is going to be a great match. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's very cagey, back and forth. But one thing that you could say about both athletes, Queixinho and Gabriel Souza, is they really changed their game for fight to win. They are much more open than they would be in a normal gi tournament, and really diving on submissions, footlocks, and a lot of attacks. But, man, it was really a rapid-fire night. Now we're looking at Andrew Tackett. Andrew Tackett taking on a brown belt for the brown belt title at Fight to Win, even though he is still a purple belt. You can see they nearly go off the stage here to kick my camera a little bit.
And, really interesting there, that Andrew Tackett weighing in 160 on the dot, taking on a guy who cut down to 185.
Now we have David Garmo with the rolling guillotine attack. He had a couple of these. This was actually a decision win for him. And him and his teammate Haisam Rita,
who was right here in the white top.
They had a pretty solid night, both picking up decisions. Haisam really actually pretty frustrated with his performance. He wanted the sub and didn't get it, but he's making his mark already.
He knows how to put on a show.
States. Then we have Cole Franson versus Thiago Macedo. This is a really scrappy match here. Very chippy that again went to decision to Thiago Macedo. He had this kind of no-arm triangle attack here at the end that may have sealed the deal for him.
Question, do you think that's a legit attack?
Man, some people make it work. I feel like it's more commonly finished in the gi, though. But
true. When you get the hand,
you get the little lapel action.
Yeah.
And then rounding things out for us, we have Talis here, taking home the brown belt title. Pretty one-sided match. He won the decision here, but he was all over his opponent. Actually, we have Diego Ramalho as well, finishing a nasty toe hold. Unfortunately, we're on the wrong side of the submission here. You can see he's being footlocked, but he says, nope, I'm going to go ahead and reverse fortune here and take your foot home.
Yeah, look at the crank.
So, that's
Diego's
odd.
in blue, right?
Yeah.
So the other guy is actually ripping on that foot right there, and yet he gets one of his own, and oh man, he wasn't cranking on that for very long before he got the tap. So, good leverage on that.
Yeah, Diego. It's funny. I did a quick interview with Diego after his match, after he won, and I said, "Hey man, that footlock on you looked pretty tight.
Yeah.
Was it hurting?" He said, "Oh man, I'm a footlock guy, leg lock guy, so it kind of hurt my feelings." So I had to return the favor, and of course, that's what happened as he got the win by toe hold.
Beautiful. And Corey, I believe that Talis Pontes it remains undefeated at brown belt. Is that correct?
That's right. He's undefeated. He was telling me on Saturday night that he is now 11-0. That was, however, his first win since being awarded brown belt in December. That he has not won by submission. So
wow,
his very first decision as a brown belt.
Had to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, but a very dominant win all the same. I mean, that if you go back and watch the full replay on Flow, start to finish, his Talis kind of running the show.
Yeah, and just a little word, go back and talk about Andrew Tackett for a moment, because, I mean, that guy looked phenomenal. And I spoke to Andrew before the event, actually, because I noticed that he was hanging out backstage. He was in a great mood. He was playing around on a skateboard and stuff, and he was already ready to go, like way before his match was up. And he had a very interesting philosophy on this. He's like, I want to be wet. I want to be slippery. I want to have a good sweat on and be really warm when I go into the match. I don't want to go into the match dry. And I thought that was very interesting. It's he just wants to be really 100% physically ready. Doesn't want to warm up during the match.
Yeah, I think that's really, for me, also my preferred state to be in, especially for a super fight where you don't really have to worry about going through 4 or 5 rounds.
Don't have to hold anything in the tank.
I need to be good for 8 minutes, for 7 minutes, and it does pay dividends. I would say to walk out there and maybe have that first wind already kind of knocked out and going strong, but. Him and William both had the same approach, it seems like. I remember the weekend before when William Tackett fought Hibamar, he was coaching, he was hanging out. I feel like it was 3 matches before his where he's like, all right, I got to get up and get ready. I'm like, yeah. Some people are back there for an hour and a half and really just mentally psyching themselves up or whatever they're doing. But for the tack it, bros. Maybe they're so used to competing these days that they just got to get a little sweat in and they're good to go.
Yeah, results speak for themselves. But Andrew's going to be back in action on Friday, March 26th at Who's Number One. Opening the show of Who's Number One, he's going to be the very first prelim match, free prelims that you'll be able to watch on YouTube and Facebook, as well as on FloGrappling. And he's going to have a match against Sean Yadamarco of Renzo Gracie. Now, Corey, I believe that Sean Yadamarco, a Pan No-Gi champ, is that correct?
That's right. He won No-Gi Pans at Purple Belt last year in 2020, excuse me.
Very nice. So this is a 175-pound match. So once again, Andrew's going to be coming in definitely undersized, but man, this kid just loves a challenge. Doesn't seem to faze him.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to bother him whatsoever. But we'll talk a little bit more, I think, about Andrew in a minute, right? But we have some big results actually from Brazil. It's always great to see events happening down in South America because things are kind of tough right now with COVID. A lot of more shutdowns are happening now than earlier in the year.
Yeah.
But they still managed to hold a fantastic competition in the Rio Open there.
Yeah, it's nice to see Jiu-Jitsu back in Brazil, right? So the Rio Open is a very well-established, traditional kind of tournament on the Brazilian scene, and it's one of the few open tournaments that's really able to kind of take place at the moment because, like Chase said, with the restrictions because of the pandemic. So, things kind of will peak in different locations around the globe at different times, and they're kind of, they're in a bad phase right now. So it's good that they're able to have this tournament, very strict safety protocols, as you can see, in the video that we're going to play. Not so many people competing, not so many people in the arena, but the results were pretty notable. So let's play the first video because we've actually got the first video is Gabby Pisana, and I'm really excited to see her back in action. You can actually see her on top in the black gi going up against Bianca Basilio here. This is a semi-final from the Absolute Division. Gabby took double gold. She won the Super Heavyweight and the Absolute Division with submissions in the both matches that we're showing here. And, Gabby, we have known her to be so good, so talented. She was a brown belt. Sorry, she was a blue belt. She was a purple belt. She was a brown belt world champion. She actually did the Grand Slam as well, winning all the majors in the gi. And, hitting the black belt, we were expecting huge things from her, and of course then those opportunities taken away because of course the season that wasn't last year. But coming back here at the Rio Open, which also is very, very close to where she's from. She's a Rio de Janeiro native. I think she put that hometown advantage to good use here because she's just finishing everybody. She looks unstoppable.
She is so good. I remember when she was a brown belt taking on black belts in AJP Tour and holds a couple wins over Nacheli de Jesus, one of the best black belts in the world, multiple-time world champion as a black belt. So, yeah, I expect big things from her. It's going to be really exciting to watch Gabby Pisana do her thing.
Yeah, let's hope that she can get back on the scene because really, she has an opportunity now to really make her mark on the sport. I feel that when we're talking about the World Championships, when those come, that she will definitely be one of those names that we'll be looking at for a potential winner of the Absolute Division.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then two other big names that really shone at the Rio Open as well were the Muniz brothers, Anderson and Eric Muniz. Let's take a look at this clip because we got an extended highlight here. So that's Anderson in the blue and Eric in the black. Now, these kids, they are training at Alliance Dream Art in Sao Paulo, and they are phenomenal. There is no other way to describe it. Just incredible technicians. They're both huge. They're both easily 6'4", maybe 6'5". They are very, very tall. They are very, very athletic.
Look how good they move, too.
Jiu-jitsu is just so sharp.
Yeah, incredible athletes. They did, I think, the double Grand Slam as purple belts, then were robbed of a brown belt season, straight into black belt, Y-weight, and already, of course, making an impact here. And you can see the technique is so fun. Initially, as purple belts, I feel like they were really well known for their lapel guards, but as you can see, their top game is also phenomenal. Really great passing.
Yeah,
what a sequence.
Misdirectional Torianda passing, absolutely phenomenal. And they're not just points players, they're finishers as well.
Oh, yeah, I mean, coming up if we have one. But they are definitely the future, I would say. And, I mean, this is their first season of black belt, so sky's the limit.
Yeah, isn't this incredible that Anderson and Eric, they're both brand new black belts. And I think that this is a good opportunity for them as well, to compete on the local scene in Brazil and take some names, just gather some experience before jumping in, in the big leagues, for example, going into, say, the World Championships or the other major tournaments where they're going to be facing established veterans, that this is the time just get those reps in. And I mean, man, they're just really, really promising athletes. That's the best way I can describe it. Both Eric and Anderson, as you can see here, they closed out the super heavyweight division, and then Eric and his teammate Yatan, who is also an Alliance Dream Art competitor, they together closed out the absolute division. And man, the one thing about Muniz brothers, it's interesting. You mentioned the lapels. That Eric is probably best known among certain sort of, let's just call it as it is, jiu-jitsu nerds, okay? Jiu-jitsu nerds know Eric because he's a phenomenal lapel player, but we didn't really see him mess around with lapels at all. It's more like the open guard, spider guard. Look at that De La Riva. Look at the elevation that he gets with this De La Riva here.
I mean, yeah, it's an incredible just inversion for a big guy like that.
Now watch this sequence, because this is incredible. He kind of goes for like the seagull sweep style, that we've seen a lot. Kind of puts his opponent down, and then in the scramble, watch this, goes for the jumping back take, drops off into a triangle choke, and once those long legs got locked on, there was no getting out. I actually slowed this down, and we're going to watch a little replay of this in just a moment, because it's the transition's pretty phenomenal, right, Jace?
Oh yeah, it reminds me of a kind of the Herbert Santos style back take. Herbert, by the way, taking home gold this weekend.
Ultra heavyweight, yep.
So,
but look at that, they manages to get the triangle.
Yeah, let's not forget, actually, that Eric Muniz had a pretty strong showing at BJJ Stars, where he did take on some of the elite of the sport not that long ago.
Yeah.
Has a win over Herbert.
Great match with Felipe Pena.
A great match that he ultimately lost with Felipe, but was never out of the game. We looked very, very close throughout.
And beat Victor Hugo.
So,
last year,
these guys
that was Victor Hugo's only loss of 2020, was Eric Muniz.
That's something. But yeah, great weekend for jiu-jitsu down in Brazil. Again, Herbert was a strong showing. It's great to see Herbert really making strides back in the right direction, because he's had a pretty crazy career, let's say, the last couple of years. So it's great to see him back in the winner's corner too.
Indeed it is. So, yeah, I love watching them, some high-level gi tournaments as well. It's always a lot of fun. See the new techniques coming out of Brazil as well, for everything that's been said about the geographical differences in Brazil. They've definitely got their own sort of distinct flavors, let's call it. And the Brazilian style, there's always some cool stuff to watch coming out of there. But moving on, we've got some betting lines for who's number one this weekend. Not our betting lines. These are not official in any way. And we do not support gambling. Best check in your jurisdiction, blah, blah, blah. But we're always interested to see what people think when they look at our fight cards, right? And to see what those betting lines look like. So, Corey, you discovered these betting lines. Why don't you talk a little bit, first of all, about what were the biggest takeaways? What did you notice?
Yeah, it's if you like to play the odds, it's not very easy to find one that is not either loaded towards, or I have to throw a lot of money on this to make anything work, or it's a high risk, right? So there's a lot of kind of disparity between some of the lines. Even as low as the undercard, where we're talking about like Cole Abate and Ned Johnson, Andrew Tackett and Sean Yardamarco. Cole is minus 2,000, which is a heavy favorite.
No, hang on a second. Cole is a 16-year-old blue belt competing out of AOJ, whereas Ned Yardamarco is a purple belt competing out of 10th Planet.
Ned Johnson.
Ned Johnson, excuse me. What did I call him?
Ned Yardamarco.
Wow,
unknown brother.
Another one. Sorry, Ned Johnson. So, what do you think, Corey? I mean, are those odds fair? Are they realistic? Are they representative of what the match is about?
I mean, I think with these undercard matches especially, it's representative more of whose name we've heard, right? Cole Abate is representing AOJ. We've been talking about Cole for years. He's kind of a known up-and-comer in the scene. So, if you're looking to take a risk, Ned Johnson might be the guy, right? We don't know a whole lot about him, but, who's to say he can't beat Cole Abate? We don't really know. We haven't seen him in action. The same can be said about Sean Yardamarco, who is bigger at a brown belt against a younger purple belt, Andrew Tackett. Tackett is a minus 1,500 favorite against Yardamarco, but I think that has to be largely because maybe odds makers don't know exactly who Yardamarco is.
Right. But then going up onto the main card, taking a look, there is definitely some heavy favorites. So let's go main event first of all. Gordon Ryan, minus 1,250 up against Wagner Hoscher, plus 650. If that was an MMA match, people would be calling it a mismatch. Do you think it's a mismatch, or do you think the odds are just those that far apart because it's just Gordon's Gordon?
I think it's really mostly because Gordon's Gordon, right? And I said this in my article. Anybody on a 38 win streak, I'm putting my money on, and just regardless of who it is. If it's an unknown blue belt who's on a 38 win streak against some of the best guys in the world, I'm putting my money on the unknown blue belt.
Yeah, fair. I think that's, I won't disagree with you on that one. I mean,
the logic checks out.
Yeah,
but
definitely like to take the odd risk once in a while, but that's a step too far.
I mean, yeah, I think that is the line of reasoning. No, that makes sense. I mean, he's undefeated in like 2 years, 38 matches. It's hard to bet against that. It's hard to feel confident with your money against it. But at the same time, if you're a gambling degenerate, then maybe you think plus 650. All right. I mean, maybe worth a shot. I don't know. I think it is. We could get into this later discussion about Wagner's odds here, or actual potential to win. But I don't think the odds reflect necessarily the skill set of the two men, but more so Gordon's record alone.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think if you want to talk about underdogs who are worth a shot, I think the Mikey Musumeci Marcelo Cohen odds are just insane to me. I don't think that those odds are right. I'll be fair. I'll just say it straight right now. Now, Mikey Musumeci, do I believe that he's a favorite? Absolutely. Is he a minus 2,500 favorite against Marcelo Cohen, who's a plus 1,000 underdog? Man, we haven't seen Mikey compete in No-Gi since 2016, whereas Marcelo Cohen was competing this last weekend in Mexico at the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. You're talking about activity, you're talking about accomplishments. Okay, Marcelo Cohen's not a No-Gi world champion like Mikey is, but he's been way more active in the No-Gi scene the last couple of years. And I would argue that, he's taken some losses, but he's had some wins. But does that make him a plus 1,000 underdog? Corey, your thoughts?
I mean, in the article I did on these odds, I don't know if I agreed with the odds, but I did say that, I would stay away from betting on this match with everything I got. Because as much as I believe that Marcelo Cohen has the ability and he has the mat time, Mikey Musumeci, and I'm going to use the same logic I used with Gordon, Mikey's lost 2 matches in his black belt career. It's dating back to 2016.
Wow.
But in his weight class, I should say, right? He lost to, who was it? Muhammad Ali.
And Rolando Montero.
And Rolando Montero. But inside of his weight class, 2 losses in his 4 or 5 year career.
Damn.
That's hard to argue with as well. But I think Marcelo Cohen being predominantly a no-gi athlete does make this more interesting. That's his wheelhouse. That's what he's used to.
Yeah.
So
that's my feeling.
We'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Okay, so what other odds stand out? You got some much more even odds here. The spread between Nick Rodriguez and Yuri Simoes a lot closer. However, are you surprised? I'm asking both of you here. Are you guys surprised that Nick Rodriguez is the favorite on the odds against Yuri Simoes? 2-time ADCC champion, Yuri Simoes.
Well, again, I think we may have identified the trend here in the odds makers sort of repertoire is that Yuri's kind of on a little bit of a losing streak recently. He's lost a couple of matches. And Nicky Rod has not been super active himself. So maybe they're looking at that, saying, Yuri hasn't been performing up to 2017 standard, let's say. I don't know. But it is a very close match. In my mind, this may be the closest match on the card in the sense of who I personally feel might win. I think either guy just needs one exchange, and that's it. But, yeah, it's a tight fight.
It is a tough fight. Rafael Aguirre's a minus 400 underdog against Maggie Grindati. A minus 400 favorite against Maggie Grindati, who's plus 295. I mean, Rafael Aguirre's had a storming 2020, right? She had standout performances on Subversive. She took double gold at No-Gi Pans. She took double gold at Pans. I think that, just accomplishments alone, yes, you'd have to agree that Rafael is the favorite in this match. And then Oliver Taza versus Johnny Tama is an interesting one as well, because Taza is the favorite here, minus 235 against Johnny Tama, plus 195. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say, once again, I disagree with those odds. I feel that match is a lot more even than those odds say. You just look at Johnny Tama's performance against Ethan Grellenstein, for example, which, regardless of the result and how people feel about that, whether they thought that Johnny or Ethan deserved that decision, just the way that the match played out, I don't think it's a shutout here for Taza. I don't think that he's automatically guaranteed to win.
I mean, definitely not. In my opinion, if there's any criticism of Taza, it's that if someone doesn't really want to play the game with him, he has a tough time finishing them. And so if Tama wants to play on the outside, which I don't think he does, Tama's super aggressive and always wants to bring it to the other fighter, but there is kind of a safer route for him. So I don't think this is such a lock for Taza in any sense. But Johnny is definitely kind of a fiery athlete, and I feel like he's gotten to feel confident. He went the whole round with Krellenstan, who's equally dangerous as Taza, right? And so maybe that's a boost for him. Corey, what do you take on this match?
Yeah, I think like Howell said, this is probably for me, or I think Howell said this, the most even matchup of the night. I think that this will be. It's kind of a coin toss. So if we're talking about the odds here, you have to like Johnny Tama. Basically, as you said, because Tama has a route against Taza would be to play on the outside. I don't think that will be the case. I think that Tama has an aggressive style and he'll be aggressive. But you have to know what to expect going up against Oliver Taza. You have to expect that the leg locks are coming. So if you have a game plan around that, that may work as an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, he's not just a leg lock guy, right? I mean, we saw it at the the Dallas No-Gi Open, right? Not too long ago. He did win by a heel hook, but he has guillotines and other attacks there ready to go. But I think that the odds, maybe a big factor here is to look at Johnny's record in 2020. Because he had 12 matches in 2020, and he went 4-8. 4-8 is pretty rough, right? Sorry, no, actually, no, wait, I'm sorry. He had 16 matches, and he went 4-12. 4-12. That's not great. And I remember him telling me, actually, that he felt that he had never had a year as bad as 2020 in terms of results. But is that really reflective of what his potential is, about his ability? I don't think so. I think that he took a lot of matches on like short notice or out of his weight class, different rule formats, and just took what he could.
Also very irregular training. I mean, last year was a strange year, so if anything, it was a great time to get the experience in. Compete as many shows as you can, get your name out there, get your brand out there. So
exactly.
I don't think it's reflective at all of really what he's capable of, and maybe it'll pay dividends for the 2021 for this upcoming year.
And
you'd have to think that somebody's going to invest a lot into a match like Who's Number One as well, and make sure that he's got the training that he needs to make this happen, right?
Right, and despite his slide in 2020, just because I don't think this has been said yet, the last event in 2019, he won No-Gi Worlds.
There you go. So don't ignore that. A No-Gi World Champion. You don't get that by accident. Okay, so betting lines are on our side. You can go check those out on FloGrappling. Coming up, upcoming events. Who's Number One? You may have heard about it. Wagner Hoche versus Gordon Ryan, March 26th. This Friday, 7 p.m. Central Time, right here in Austin, Texas. You can only watch it live on FloGrappling, closed door event. Gordon Ryan versus Wagner Hoche in the main event. But that's not all. We've got a busy couple of weeks.
Yeah, also, don't forget that we're going to be having a press conference on Thursday for Who's Number One as well. So you guys won't miss it, believe me. We'll be talking about Who's Number One. But yes, Fight to Win also carries on. They have another all-women's event going down this Saturday. It's their final event in this stint at Austin, and it's looking like a great card. How we have Nachieli taking on Kendall Rusing in the main event, I believe, and then Luisa Montero's taking on Veda Toscano, and Maria Malijacek is taking on legendary Hennett Stack.
Ooh.
All of those are gi matches. The rest of the card, I don't think has been quite sent our way yet, but we'll be keeping you guys updated. But I'm really enjoying these all-women events. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, although I've been told that this will actually be the last all-female Fight to Win card for some time, because after this event in Austin, they're going to go back on the road, and they're hitting up locations such as Dallas. They're going to Miami in April, and then after that, back on the road around the country, hopefully taking jiu-jitsu to everywhere. If you're there and you want jiu-jitsu in your town, hit up Fight to Win, let them know. But make sure to catch this one. It's going to be a good one on Saturday night. And then the following week, Saturday, April 3rd, we've talked a little bit about this already, but EUG Promotions, elevate your game. £160, 8-man tournament in the gi.
Yes, more gi tournaments. I love it. And this is stacked. There's an amazing level of talent in this event. We have names like Jonathan Alves, Andy Murasaki's in there, Shane Jamil Hill Taylor's back in action for the first time, I believe, since 2019.
Yeah.
Isaac Doderline is there. Marcio Andre, Johnny Grippo, the ever-present Johnny Grippo, Thiago Macedo, and world champion Mateus Gabriel. That's a super fun lineup. I'm really excited for that one. It's a new event, of course. EUG, they haven't had an event yet, so for them to pull this off in their first show is a really, really exciting indicator of what's to come. And yeah, I couldn't be more excited. We need more lightweight tournaments too. 160 pounds is a fun sort of catch weight. I feel like to get a few different weight classes together, and this is fire. When's it going down again? April 3rd.
April 3rd in Las Vegas. I'm going to go to that one actually. I'm really looking forward to that. High level gi tournament, black belt, and it's a $10,000 winner take all tournament as well. Should be fun. Who's your pick for that one, Corey?
I don't know if I have a pick.
We're not talking picks yet, but Corey.
I'm really excited to see what Andy Murasaki can do in his black belt debut.
Yeah, no, great point. Actually, it's going to be a tough test, but you got some great names in there. Should be fun. And then Emerald City Invitational on Saturday, April 10th. It's a no-gi tournament, 170 pounds pro no-gi tournament, featuring some of Flo's top-ranked competitors. Corey, why don't you run us down quickly what to expect from this one?
Yeah, there's a crazy 170-pound no-gi tournament here featuring guys like Jonathan Gracie, PJ Barch, John Combs, Nick Ronan. Also a super fight featuring Lucas Pinheiro. Not sure if we have an opponent set up there yet, but it's going to be just a really fun no-gi night featuring a lot of guys from the East Coast as well as all over the country.
You have it, and you're going to be going to that one, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we'll bring you all the coverage and more on the ground and in the lead up to these events. You won't be able to miss it. It'll be right here on FloGrappling. Chase, any final words?
Man, I couldn't be more excited for who's number one this weekend. It's going to be a wild week. Of course, everyone's coming out on Wednesday. You'll start seeing some of the content from people on the ground. Press conference Thursday, event Friday. Just could be more excited.
There we have it, guys. We'll see you next time.